welcome to Detroit in Black and White. Is this the big three tonight? Allan is Lengel is in East Lansing doing his old memory tour, with his old roommates. And Vanessa is out doing her dancing contest. Vanessa know how to dance. Listen, I got 5 left feet. So I'm stuck here with myself, Adolph Mongo, Jim Nardone. How you doing, Jim?
Good Friday evening.
And Eric Brown. Can you hear us,
Hey,
Eric?
how you doing? Yeah, I heard you. You froze up for a minute.
No, you froze up.
You froze up.
Listen, I thought about you today, Eric. I'm looking at all the regionals. They got Division 1, 2, 3, and 4. My old high school is in they over in Rochester. That regional, track.
Yeah, that was today.
So you're going there tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we had Divine Child tomorrow, but you went to Oak Park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. The girls team at Oak Park, they've been the state champs the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. So I'm sure they did well today.
They'll won about 6 state championships. I have to say we were the first. We won. We were good, and we set the tone. So here we are. Listen.
Yeah, they good.
Okay, something I seen. Your friend, who's the sheriff of Washtenaw County, has come under fire for hiring somebody that she had a relationship. They don't have a relationship now. And I was just reading about the prosecutor in Macomb County, Peter Lucido. He hired his sister-in-law. And I got to thinking, we got a situation here in Detroit where, Coleman Young II, mother is his chief of staff. And, that nepotism, all people do it. Jim, did you ever have a problem with that when you were the police chief in Trenton?
Well, I think every organization has issues because whether it's, a small city like Trenton where somebody's son gets appointed to a position in the DPW, whether it's cutting grass or shoveling snow or the fire department, or you're always going to have those kind of challenges. I want to say hello to all our friends.
Go ahead.
Karen, Jill, Joe Cool, Day. I feel you, Day, Derek. And Jill, I heard a couple little secrets about Jill, but we're not going to talk about them here. So I talked to an old friend of Jill's. I told him that Jill was paying attention to the show and he wasn't. And he gave me a couple of secrets, but I'm going to keep them to myself. Hey, Deborah. All good stuff, Jill. Yes, it happens everywhere. I think the bigger the organization, I think Wayne County is a great example of, I don't want to call it nepotism, favoritism. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's nepotism. I think it's, wasn't the former sheriff, wasn't his daughter spokesperson or something for the county? I mean, that's.
Yeah. And I when I worked for Coleman Young, the mayor, I think he had cronies, but I never had a family that worked for him. They worked someplace else, but they never worked directly for him. Kwame had cousins that worked as appointees, and one of them got in trouble for having their hand in the cookie jar. So do you hire your relatives? Because
well, you know what?
That puts you under a different strain of, do you be too hard on them or not hard on them?
In a police department, you have fathers and sons are very common, and brothers. We had brothers in our department, fathers and sons, and that's not unusual. I'm sure Detroit, a big department like Detroit Police, has hundreds of fathers and sons that have worked together at some time. But I don't think you're calling that nepotism. I think you're calling that as just, what did Karen call it?
You see it in sports and coaching, where the Jim Harbaugh have his son as a coach, and you got folks that hire kids as assistants and stuff. Eric.
I mean, in bigger organizations, it's frowned upon, and you definitely cannot have someone working for you that you have a relationship with in a lot of organizations, because you have power over them. And if the situation goes left, it causes problems and potential lawsuits. So it's not a good thing. I mean, Mike Duggan, his current wife, came to be through a no bid contract with I think the more child mortality rate in Wayne County, city of Detroit, and she became his wife. You had a situation at Blue Cross Blue Shield where the CEO a few years ago was, seeing people that were working with him, and he was given an ultimatum with regards to cut it out or you'll be released from your position. I mean, it happens at the college level, colleges and universities. So it's just a unfortunate way of life, but people do it. They will continue to do it as long as there are no policies in place that prevents it.
Well, John F. Kennedy hired his brother as the Attorney General of the United States.
That's just so they keep track of their women.
Well, regardless, Donald Trump had his son and daughter working for him. I'm just saying, if they qualify, should they be prohibited because they some kin or someone? You watch, what's that TV show, Blue Bloods?
Right.
The commissioner. He got he running the police department. Whether he's about 99 years old and he's still the police commissioner. But anyway, and he got his kids. They're the prosecutor and they on the police force. And somebody said, "Oh, that's not real." Yeah, it is real because
that's real. Yeah,
people do that.
So let's say hello to our other young ladies out there, Miss Sheila, Miss Boyce, Miss Harris, and go ahead.
Well, I just thought it is, they coming under fire, and next week we're going to the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, and that's something we might want to ask the sheriff, because she has come under fire. What is her name, Eric?
Alicia Dyer.
Yeah, and I see where the prosecutor of Washtenaw County threw his hat into the ring. He's running for Attorney General.
Yeah, Ali Savitt, and Washtenaw County is one of the counties where they have no bail situation. So if someone gets, and it's come under fire recently because you have an individual out there that is a menace to society, but because they have a no bail situation in Washtenaw County, he is not held because they don't find it to be a serious enough crime. They get right out of jail because they don't have to pay bond. I know that was a movement through a lot of cities and states throughout the country, but I guess it has its good and its bad, but if someone is a habitual criminal and they keep there's no incentive or deterrent for them not to commit the crimes because they know they get right out. There's no bail.
Well, listen, I'm thinking as we move along on this that all the judges with the same name and all the politicians that got elected because five in office, and then they get elected. Let's look at the Register of Deeds, Youngblood. They've been a Youngblood elected official for what 100 years in Wayne County.
Yeah, same way. I mean, look at the Dingle name. You know, that seat has been held by Dingle for over 8 years now.
But she wasn't sleeping, was she? Did you guys?
She was knocked out. She was knocked the hell out.
She said she wasn't sleeping. She was thinking about health care for everybody.
And people making excuses for her. And I'm like, come on. At the end of the day, she was asleep. And she saying that she was busy after being up for 31 hours. I don't think that lady can stay up 31 hours straight.
We old. Listen, we old. You get old, your body breaks down, you're old.
So did anybody see the Deadline Detroit story today with Charlie LaDuff and Sri Tanadar?
No, but I know that they bitch smacked Sri, the Democrats did, saying that you can't try to present articles of impeachment. Tell us about the story, Jim.
So Mr. LaDuff was pretty easy on Sri, but he asked him a couple of questions. First, he asked him about the impeachment and asked if it was a way to draw interest to his campaign. He denied it. Then he asked him about the Beagles. This is the great thing about Sri Tanadar. I guess he acts like he has a communication issue. And he asked him about the Beagles, and he didn't say that he didn't kill the Beagles, which I thought was interesting. He didn't deny killing the Beagles. What he did say was, I love animals. My family loves animals. That's what he said. But he did not say, that's wrong. I did not kill those Beagles. I didn't leave them in that warehouse to die. He didn't say any of that stuff, which is kind of surprising to me. Another point he asked, which I think is hilarious. He represents the 5 gross points, 5 or 6, whatever it is. Gross, and Charlie LaDuff asked him to name the gross points, and he said, I didn't come here for a quiz. And he said, don't you represent the gross points and Taylor and Ecorse and all these? And he just said, well, I didn't come here for a quiz. He didn't say, yeah. He said, I know what my district entails. I know what the points are. I know where Taylor is. I know where Lincoln Park and Ecorse and River Rouge are. He didn't say that. He said, I didn't come here for a quiz, which I thought was kind of interesting. Well, that's another Derek.
It's like the old 13th district when George Crockett, the judge, got elected to Congress, which people said it was a retirement position, and he let it be known. I don't give a shit about the gross points and anybody else. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Now, Sheree could say that and say, you know what, I don't answer to you. But his same old BS answers. I came over here with $20. He pretend he can't speak English and all this other shit. And this guy keeps getting elected. Democrats smacked the hell out of him and said, look at me, man, what are you trying to do? We trying to regroup. We trying to get the party back on its feet. And you coming under fire, you're firing people because they old and stuff. And he didn't think that story was going to get any traction, And I believe the woman, because they don't pay some of these people. They pay them $5 an hour and shit and want them to do all kind of work. And then they make up all kind of excuses on why I got rid of them. She don't know how to do a keyboard or some stuff in a computer.
I didn't read the story.
He called her incompetent, and he can't even name the 5 gross points.
No, he can't. He can't tell you what district that he's dealing with.
The only honest thing he said was, as Derek just pointed out, thank you, Derek Henry, said that he asked him if he knew where the Hitsville Museum was, and he acted like he didn't have any idea what it meant, and then he just said no. So that was probably the only honest answer he gave in the whole interview.
Okay, we're gonna take a break and come back and continue the story with Jim and Eric Brown, and I'm Adolph Mongo, Detroit in Black and White.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Welcome back. Another interesting note in the news: Mike Duggan is coming out swinging at the Democratic Party, beating up on the party officials. Just last year, he was a staunch Democrat. Now he's his own person. And I guess the latest polls, whether you believe that or not, that he is picking up a lot of traction in the city of Detroit. But Eric, I'll go to you. Are people in Detroit going to really vote independent? You know, they'll have a phone call and say, yeah, you know, I support the mayor. Well, but going into that voting booth, are they going to say, I'm an independent?
Yeah, I think they will, Adolph and Jim, and I think that they will be voting for him. You know, regardless of the letter out there saying, because we go back to that state of the city, the last state of the city that he will have done during his tenure as mayor for 12 years, that was more or less a kickoff campaign for his gubernatorial bid. And then when you look at every opportunity that he can get before a camera, he's touting Detroit. I bought Detroit back. You know, you got 6,700 more citizens that he's taking credit for because he challenged the census. So they're giving him, the media is giving him every opportunity to be that savior for the city of Detroit, and that's going to resonate with people throughout the state.
Well, Karen Winston said she's going to vote independent, but not for Dougie. Deborah Harris said, yes, I am an independent voter. Ms. Boyce said, I agree, Eric. People, not a party. Jim, is Duggan blowing smoke up our ass, or Detroiters are going to go and say, this is the man, this is our guy?
They're all blowing smoke up our ass. Come on now. I think it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. And I think people know Mike Duggan. I think Eric made that point. They're familiar with Mike Duggan. They feel comfortable with him, whether they agree with him, whether they love him or don't love him. I think that there's some familiarity there. And I think that may even benefit one of our guests tomorrow is going to be James Craig. And I think that familiarity is probably going to help the chief in Detroit in the mayoral race.
Well, you know, I remember taking my father to vote. He was 80, 81. And, you know, I'm helping him. And we go to get to the city council races. So I start pointing out people. He said, oh, no, I know who I want. I said, who you voting for? He said, John Peoples. John Peoples was on the council. I said, that fucking crook. He said, that's my crook. That's just what he said. He said, I like John Peoples. I know John Peoples. and I'm voting for John Peoples. So I said, okay, I wasn't going to take his ballot and vote for somebody else. But, people are going to vote. That's for me. It's like I would tell you, Jim, I don't like your congressperson. You need to vote them out. But then you say, well, your congressperson is a crook. You say, but it's the crook that I know.
That's exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that all the time. I know this crook. I can live with this crook.
And G Money Hollywood, and by the way, hi Jan. G Money Hollywood has said that Detroit will vote for Mike Duggan. Mike D said, and that's the question. I'd like to know what our colleagues out here that are with us on the show tonight are thinking. Are they?
Yeah, see, Adolph,
a few that have already commented.
Right, and like I said on Wednesday, I think that in looking at the comments, people are sick and tired of the R&D. And a lot of people that have been paying attention, we never thought that Mike Duggan was a Democrat anyway.
No,
he was,
but
he was an opportunist. Just like the president, he took advantage of knowing where he could win.
Well, the line is shorter. Go to Vermont, and you got Bernie Sanders, who's not a Democrat. He whatever the fuck he is, but he profited from it. Go to Maine. They have elected senators who's independent. August King is an independent.
Right.
They vote with the Democrats most of the time.
Yeah, but so does Bernie Sanders, right?
And what about Lieberman?
Yeah, they are like, well, they kicked Lieberman out of the party.
Right, because he wouldn't do what they wanted him to do.
But that also speaks to the fact that you have what's interesting, very interesting in Detroit. You have Jocelyn Benson, you have Gilchrist. No one is talking. The only one that's getting the play is Duggan. Matter of fact, Benson numbers went down. So they have an uphill battle. And then you have John James, who just got an influx of $5 million from the DeVoses. And I still find it interesting that he is the horse that they're riding with for the Republican side. That's very interesting. But they feel that he is the best opportunity for them to turn this state red again. In Michigan, if Michigan become an independent state in a governorship, Vermont, Maine, states like that doesn't matter. But you have a state like Michigan to elect an independent, that's going to set the stage for 2028.
Listen, we had Minnesota. It's been independent a long time. California,
but they elected a celebrity though. When they elected a governor.
So name recognition. Reagan.
Yeah, so he has a good chance.
Name recognition.
To Jim's point, Jim pointed out Craig, the guest that'd be on tomorrow, and I hate that I won't be there, but people need to pay attention and they need to understand that I would not be surprised at all if on if on August 6th he's one of the two finalists.
Jim, you think that's possible?
Well, we can talk all day long about James Craig, but what I say about James Craig is he was in many leadership positions in the Los Angeles Police Department, in Portland, Cincinnati Police Department, to the city of Detroit. He was hired. He wasn't hired by the city. He was hired by Kevin Orr, if I'm correct.
Right.
He was hired to come in and basically clean up this, part of that whole process of bankruptcy. He was brought in to probably save money and clean up the police department. So this guy's been in a lot of leadership roles. Whether you agree with his leadership style, believe in it or not, you can't argue about his experience.
Well, you can't. And now we're looking at a mayor's race. And as I said, you have a race where this is the 400-meter dash, and they're walking it. And I guess the candidates is waiting with 10 yards left to run. I've never seen it like this. All they want to do is go to a forum and talk to a few people. I don't think that's how you run a campaign.
You know, I got something, and I'll ask you guys a comment on it across my feed yesterday, and it said something to the effect of, which is outrageous, but it's association, right? It said something about Christine Beatty still owes, in big block letters, owes the city of Detroit money while her boss is running for the mayor of the city of Detroit. So she may be unfairly getting a bad rap, but the people are talking about that.
But she's not a boss anymore.
Well, I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, but Santil is not running, is not at Thaw anymore, so it's not a boss. But I understand what you're saying, Jim, is that people are not throwing any of this stuff out there, and also saying, how can Craig, how can Kinlock, Reverend Solomon Kinlock, be the mayor for two cities, Detroit and Triumph Church, which is a city in itself, 38,000 members, over 4 or 5 different locations, etc. Is he still going? Is he still going to? If he got elected mayor, is he still going to run his church and run the city at the same time? Can you do that? Can you make it work? Those are some of the questions that people need to ask. You know, Kinlock is a smart guy. I like the Reverend Kinlock, but those are questions that you ask. And you ask Mary Sheffield what role her father gonna play in her administration. Is he gonna be Bernard Kilpatrick 2.0?
So can we talk about what Joe Cool just said, Adolph? Can you touch on that a little bit? Basically what he said, he's asking a question. I think he already knows the answer, but he's asking this question that's across the bottom of the screen.
Are local politicians beholden to the people or donors, business class who fund their candidacy? You know, yes. You can't help but, you know, even when people say they don't do it. I remember a scene in Miracle on 34th Street where they had the so-called Santa Claus in court and the judge saying, how the fuck I get this case? You know, and out in the audience was the political boss who got the judge elected. The judge looking at him, when he gonna make a ruling, he doing one of these numbers. No, don't do that. Yes, and I said that shit. So it's so real because you know, in some things you think, how did it? It's like Trump got reelected because he said from day one he's gonna get rid of. He gonna get everybody out of jail. That was on January the 6th. You had a whole ton of people say, I agree with that. You had a ton of people said no, but yeah, he got reelected. He got elected for a second term, and that's what he did. So yes. Yeah,
did Donald Trump get elected because he's Donald Trump or because of who he?
Because because Democrats laid down and died, pulled their pants down and say, poke me. That's what they did. And that's what he did. You know,
he got elected because he wasn't Joe Biden or
right.
Vice President Harris. He didn't get elected because he was Donald Trump.
No.
I don't believe that for a second.
Because if he got elected as Donald Trump, he wouldn't got elected.
We knew this was going to happen.
He got elected.
We knew there was going to be chaos, right?
Yeah.
I heard on TV last night this show on, and they said that's why we have Donald Trump, because there's no chaos. I almost fell out of my chair.
Yeah, well, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. We. But I go back to you, Jim, when you say, well, are they answering the tough questions? No, like nobody wants everybody skirting around. No, don't let me step into some shit because I don't want to get caught with it. I don't want to smell. But listen, the only way you're gonna make that stuff happen is you got to wallow in the dirt, and we got 2 months going on, a little over 2 months. It's anybody's race. What they say, Steve Harvey say, it's anybody's game on the Family Feud. Shit, hey, you can be in last place today and be in the top two after the August primary.
But I like what Deborah Harris said. She hasn't made up her mind about the mayoral race yet. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are in that position. I don't know what gets them to, I don't know what pushes them to make a decision on who to pick. Because although they're all good candidates, they're pretty generic.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is, in the military, people don't get promoted when everything is going great. It's when it's chaos. It's when they're looking for leaders. I'm gonna make Jim a general. I'm gonna make Jim a general today because I don't have a general. Damn, Jim didn't do a good job, so Eric gonna take his spot. Damn, Eric didn't do shit. Here we got me coming in. Yeah. So
it was interesting. It's interesting when you look at even yesterday, that forum, that did not lead on none of the evening newscasts, 2, 4, or 7. I don't watch 62 that much. So I can't speak to 62. And then when Channel 7 actually showed did a piece or segment on the forum yesterday, there was a lot of empty seats, even though they advertised it as registration being closed. The only way to watch it was virtually. But there were a lot of empty seats at that event yesterday.
Usually you got all kind of ads, all on the airwaves and stuff, radio, etc. And we can be sitting up here saying how we tired of hearing about elect so-and-so mayor or so-and-so city council. Not happening. Is it because there's no money? Or is it because they slow walking?
They slow walking.
It's by design. It's by design. They don't want you to know what's going on. That's what I think.
Well, Eric, are we going to be surprised after the August primary on who makes it?
Well, I think there's a possibility that people may be surprised. Again, if Chief Craig is in one of the top 2 spots, people will be surprised, but then they will only have themselves to blame based on voter turnout. And I keep talking about this, it's not being a dead horse, actually. But again, 4 years ago, only 14% of the electorate turned out to vote in August of 2021. It has never been. He's never won with over 35% of. There's never been no more than 35% of the turnout for a general election that Mike Duggan was on the ballot for.
Well, he hasn't had anybody that scared him, except Coleman Young II scared him in the beginning.
Right.
But then as the campaign went, he's not gonna beat Duggan. And
respectfully, G Money said that she's going to win in a landslide. I respectfully disagree.
Yeah. I don't have any idea. That's one of our other viewers was talking about the voter turnout. I can't find it. Oh, here it is. It's Joe Cool. It depends.
What do you say?
As you always say, Eric, it depends on who votes. The UAW, and I know you think that's irrelevant. I don't think it's irrelevant. You know, if they have 10,000 members in Detroit and half of them vote, and their wives or their husbands vote, that's 10,000 votes. That's
but do they usually at this stage in life, do they vote for what their leadership tell them to vote for? I don't think so.
No, they don't. They don't. But it's interesting that they endorsed Solomon Kinloch. That was very interesting.
And well, Kinloch is charismatic and stuff. You know, you got a lot of folks. Listen, UAW might have an ulterior motive. He got 38,000 members. They might try to unionize the members, church membership.
Well, look who's back. You don't like my music. I've been looking for 6 weeks. I don't know if he was on a European, maybe he was in Ireland or something, but he's back. I'm glad to see him. I mean, I've been looking for him. I've been driving around Ontario looking for him. See if that
was a good one, Adolph. Unionizing the membership. That was a good one.
well, that no question.
I'm so happy to see our viewers back, the people that have been with us the whole time. But let's talk about the show, can we, for just 1 minute, Adolph?
You go ahead, Mr. Jim.
You know, Marlon, and you don't like my music. Some of the guys that have been with us forever, and some of the young ladies that are on here today that have been with us for forever. We're getting propaganda wherever we turn up. Wherever you turn your TV channel on, you're not getting the truth. And I switch between channels. Be a part of it. Our viewers are part of that. This is part of the truth. This is the only truth they're going to get. It's the only truth any of us are going to get. And I'm just going to read. Can I read a quick statement to you? And I'm going to ask you which politician made this comment. Actually, I got two. One must recognize the right of a nation to defend itself and keep communities safe for those who have committed violence or serious crimes. This does not impede the development of a policy that regulates orderly and legal migration. What politician made those statements? You have any idea? He's not really a politician. That's unfair to say that.
Nope, I don't know. Oh.
He's gone now. He died. A guy by the name of Francis made that statement on February 10th, 2025. The reason I bring that up is because the Democrats are in love with Pope Francis and now the new Pope because they think he agrees with everything they stand for.
Yeah, he voted Republican. But he beat up on Donald Trump. He hasn't been his own person. You know, he can be whatever he want to be.
My point is, there's more to the truth than what CNN is reporting. All this Pope is all for, you know, illegal immigration.
They don't know.
But my point, read the statement that he made to learn the truth. That's the only way you're going to learn the truth. And on this station, we'll tell you that. On this show, we'll tell you the truth. Not on CNN or Fox News or MSN News Nation. I'm trying to encourage our folks to participate and have open dialogue about what's going on.
Well, you want me to try to get the Pope?
Yeah, the new Pope.
Come on, you know. Hey, Pope, what's up, bro? Listen, when I first heard that Leo was the new Pope, I'm like, oh man, American. I didn't think it was possible. And two, he took the name Leo. One of the worst popes in the history being Pope was the Borgias. Was it Leo the 10th or the 9th, whatever? They ran a criminal enterprise. But we'll see how this work out.
Well, I heard that he's not really positive on LGBTQ issues.
Well, he gotta go along with. No, he's not gonna come out. But he know all those priests and nuns that's gay, that's doing all kind of shit in the basement of the church and shit. You know what's going on. Shit, were you an altar boy, Jim?
I was not. No, I was not.
But you're right, Jim. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, yes, but but you know, politicians, it's like the Bible. Everybody got their own version of the Bible. You can take the Bible and say one thing and make it work for you. That's
Right.
politicians. That you can take an issue, and you got five politicians, and you got five different views. And if you don't be careful, you might agree with all five, even though they contradict each other.
And they know they know, at least from the pulpit, speaking to parishioners, they know that the average person is not going to challenge them on whatever scripture they're writing, because you don't see a lot of pastors, priests, bishops challenging people to go home and read the scripture for themselves and interpret it. They just take it as the gospel based on what they're told.
Well, the first thing they said when the Pope got chosen, oh man, he got some black in him.
I love it.
From New Orleans, he Creole and all this stuff. I said, God, they coming at him, you know. And
He's going to be the funk
get
pope.
up there and say, I don't want to hear that shit.
He's going to be the funk pope. He's got the Meters or the Neville Brothers or something on his iPod or
B dial, yeah.
I like it. I like that they found that. I think that's interesting. Well,
I'm surprised they didn't find out that him and Mother Teresa used to kick it. No, she was older than him. And say he's 69, he's a young man. He's
a kid. As far as popes go.
Well, John Paul II was a baby then, because he was in his 50s when he got chosen. So, you know, so is the Pope gonna change your life, Jim? Eric? Mine? Nope.
I merely point out that some people believe that he's completely on their side, and then you need to read the whole statement and understand that as you know, like my music said, the standard for a pope being liberal or conservative is way different probably than a U.S. citizen. But go ahead.
Did you ever see that movie Good Morning Vietnam?
I never did. I never had.
Okay. Well,
I know the story, but yeah.
Yeah, he's disc jockey in Vietnam, and he broke all the rules, did all the shit. So you assume that he was a left-wing liberal, etc. Jesse Jackson, when the movie came out, Jesse Jackson reached out to him, to the real person.
Adrian Cronauer?
Yes, and said, we want you to come and for some stuff they was protesting. The guy say, I'm a conservative Republican and I'm against everything that you stand for. So you just can't assume that because you see something, it don't, because it looks like something, but it's not necessary. He wasn't a liberal. He wasn't left wing. He was who he was. He said he was to the right, and he was very conservative. He didn't believe in these causes. That was a movie, and he was who he was in real life. So,
well, you don't have to be against. I mean, you can. Yeah, that's a good point, Ada. You can be for or against. You can be for or against abortion. You can be for or against legalization. You can be a Democrat, or you can be a Republican, or you can just be a regular person, and that's the party we need there, right?
Yeah, it's like when Trump beat up on Lester Holt, NBC anchor at the time, say, yeah, he probably voted Democrat all his life and shit, and they pulled his record out of Chicago with a primary Republican. So you got to be careful trying to put a label on shit.
Mr. Duckett hit it right on the head when he said humans are complex with complex reasoning. So today they're trying to program you to be all one or all the other, and we can't have that. We can't do that.
Now,
then they get mad at people that's neither.
No question. Well, let's
or
take
one of one and one of the other, right?
Yep. Let's take a break and come back and finish this up.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
So let me read a post I just happened to come across. I remember not so long ago that Detroit was the armpit of the state. Leadership turned that around. Duggan announces Detroit population surpasses Portland, leads Michigan in growth. On Thursday, the Census Bureau announced the Detroit population grew by 6,800 people in 2024. That nearly doubled the growth rate for the state of Michigan and ahead of the national average. Detroit is now the 26th largest city in America, officially surpassing Portland, Oregon, and closing in on Boston. Leadership matters. See, that's the mindset. This is from a Michigander. That's the mindset of Michiganders, and that's why people have to be careful when they talk about his chances, because he has a great chance.
Well, it's perception. Listen, we went from being the 4th largest to the 55th largest, whatever. Listen, there's always been a problem with the Census Bureau. When I worked on the census with under Coleman Young, when the first time we went under 1 million, and the mayor sent his appointees out and found folks, Census Bureau said, okay, you got 1 million. But they didn't want to count the people that they voted. And there's a whole lot of reasons why they undercount in cities like Detroit. People don't like to answer the door. People don't tell the truth. They don't trust the government, etc. But Detroit did image, and we should be happy that we found 1,000 people. Oh, man, that's unfucking believable. I think you look at Boston. Boston thrives with the people they got. They got great education, institutions, etc. This is what we need to be concentrating on. We need to be concentrating on how you rebuild your neighborhoods, how you bring back families, not couples who, as soon as they have a kid, they gone again. So 7,000 people. I saw that with Doug and I'm gonna fight. What are you gonna do? Go to Western Michigan? I live in Western Michigan, and say I'm gonna bring more jobs and all this shit. The governor's race is gonna be a knockout, drawn out fight. And I see the edge going to the Republican Party because the Democrats are going to be eating each other up.
I don't know that the Republicans aren't going to be doing the exact same thing within 2 years.
They're only going to have one candidate. Democrats going to have technically 2. Yeah, you got, whether it won't be Garland because they uncheckmated him. What's her name? Castrated him. She needed him to run as a lieutenant governor, and then say he don't even have a chance. Whitmer's something else. Yeah.
I love you don't like my music. I'm not religious, but that's because I actually understand religion. He was born in Ireland, so if the religious wars in Ireland probably would turn anybody off to religion.
And here's another. Go ahead, Adolph.
No, religion. Well, Henry VIII had it right. He said, "I'm fuck the Pope."
Is that what he said?
Basically, yeah.
Or is that what you said?
He looked at all the money they had in these monasteries, and he took it. It wasn't about he wanted it. It was about he wanted a new wife, but he wanted the money too. So it was all a money grab. Go ahead, Eric.
So, and this was written by a black person, and they never wanted us to learn to read and would kill us. Now we kill ourselves by not reading. What's interesting about that is, and I found this out today, part of the process to be released from jail when you are up for parole is that they want you to be proficient in reading by at the 4th or 5th grade level. Interesting enough, 85% of those behind bars in prison don't go into prison reading at no more than a 4th grade level. So this speaks to the school to prison pipeline that it takes you on jail to become proficient in reading. What kind of shit is that?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you don't need to read in jail. You need to survive. That's what kind of shit that is.
But they learn. My point is, they learn how they become proficient in reading at the level that you need to be while they are in jail.
Well, because some of them they look reading law books and stuff, because trying to get out of jail. They become jailhouse lawyers, etc. You got smart people that's locked up.
But Ross Perot identified that, whatever that was, 35 years ago, when he talked about the cost to put somebody in the state prison at Huntsville. I don't know if you guys remember that. Then instead of educating people,
right now it costs what? I think $33,000 a year to house someone in jail. But they only spend what? Somewhere between $7,000 and $9,000 per pupil to try and get them educated. And to your point, Jim, what Ross Perot said 35 years ago, spend the money on the front end. You don't have to worry about all them individuals being in jail or prison.
I think that's kind of what you were saying there to start the conversation. I don't want to speak for you, but can we talk about Garland Gilchrist just for a minute?
Oh, we gonna talk about Garland? Oh,
we don't have to.
No, we can, because I saw some of the comments on Garland. Go ahead.
Yeah, Deborah Harris said it's so sad about Garland Gilchrist, and I got to tell you, you have to be disappointed to see if he's a fine, talented, smart gentleman, but he's not a political. We've talked about this before. He's not a political whore, and he is not going to cross that line to get elected. And I appreciate the guy. Unfortunately, it's a lose. It feels like a losing combination.
Well, if I was a lieutenant governor, I would have went rogue on Whitmer. She just listen. She's not a loyal person. She went and kissed and kissed Trump's ass. No, Trump is the president. And she the governor. You're supposed to go and try to get what's best for your state.
Right, what's best for your city, right? Well, your state, yeah.
Tell somebody, don't take my picture. I don't want to be seen. Girl, be for real. You know what? Listen. So now you don't want to be seen. You want to sneak around in the middle of the night. But Garland Gilchrist, you needed him to run the first term, and you needed him to run for re-election. And then when he said, okay, I think what I'm going to do is run myself, and you threw him under the bus. The governor of Ohio told the Republicans, I got my successor. He's my lieutenant governor. He's been loyal to me, and I'm supporting him. That's all she has to say. Nobody get mad and say, oh, governor, I don't think he can win. She said, but listen, but he's my guy. He's been loyal. But no, She just threw him under the bus. Her and that gang of whoever hooligans up there, they all running for office. Benson, Jocelyn Benson, the Slockin, what's the other one? Haley,
Attorney General.
all them. They But you know what? I'm sorry.
You got to go over. You got to say that again, Adolph. We lost you for a second.
I can't get into them.
No, I think what he's saying, Jim, they're full of shit.
I see why Duggan is running as an independent. Because he's saying Democrats are throwing us the same old shit.
Right.
You know, so Garland Gilchrist, God bless you. You know, it's over with. You know, you might as well go to sleep and wake up after the election.
And one quick question, Adolph and Jim, who do you think Duggan will endorse for mayor?
His endorsement don't mean shit. He's trying to become governor. Duggan is for Duggan. Listen, Coleman Young had no coattails. None of these people got coattails. You know, you got to run on your own. If somebody think that Duggan is gonna save them, that they got another thing coming. Duggan is trying to become governor. He's not thinking about these folks.
Sorry, we may have had a little confusion there, Deborah. I think we were talking about Garland Gilchrist running for. I didn't think he was not. That's
mayoral material.
That's not what I meant. I like Garland Gilchrist. I just think he's an.
I like him too.
I think he's a good guy.
I like him too, but you pegged him right, Jim. He's not a cutthroat politician. He plays by the rule and stuff, and
he got screwed over.
And they smacking the shit out of him every time.
He was a team player, and he got.
Well, anyway, this went quick, gentlemen. Your final thought, Eric?
I'm reading that. For those of us that's in the know, I mean, I would not agree with what Parker said. He said that Mary, Fred, and Santil are all Team Duggan. I mean, that is probably right.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, because they have had their differences, so we'll see.
Jim,
I'm just happy that we have folks out there participating with this show and teaching us all something new every night. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's taken an hour of time or less on this beautiful evening to spend time with us and educate us. And I'm grateful. And it's nice to see some old friends. I thought we lost them.
Okay. Well, I thank everybody that tuned into the show. We'll be back tomorrow over at McShane's, Michigan, and Trumbull. Jim Nardone, Eric Brown.
But one more thing, Adolph. Did you talk to Jim and Teresa about Monday? Or
well, why don't you promote what's happening next week?
Okay, Monday, which is the 19th. Yeah, May 19th, and also the 100th anniversary of the birth of Malcolm X. The debut of Detroit in Black and White presents Reality Strikes with Eric Brown will be debuting at 8:30 p.m. on Monday, May 19th.
So
8:30 p.m.
Hey, Jim, Eric got his own forum now.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm excited. And I think hopefully all our friends out here that are part of this show will participate in that show and move forward. I'm excited. It's a great opportunity, and I think it'll be exciting.
There's no question.
8:30 on Monday with Eric Brown. Reality Strikes.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
We'll have a good show tomorrow. I mean, I'll be in Divine Child, Dearborn.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.